is greater than the sum of its parts. Aristotle, old Greek dude, never heard of Oklahoma City. But if he had, the idea of breaking up superstars James Harden and Russell Westbrook would have led them to careers of mediocrity. But alas, nothing could be farther from the result. So with apologies to all Greek philosophers everywhere, Scoop Jackson takes a look at why sometimes you just don't need to keep the band together.
Oh, how we love to dream. How we love to paint pictures in our minds of what could have been. Even when the current what is way better than anything we could have imagined.
Here goes the beer with an left hand throw down.
They started out together. You remember? Both straight out of Cali, 1 year apart.
Just going there and helping, those guys out, like Kevin Durant and Russell. It's going to be a great honor.
Two parts of a Big Three dynasty that never came to be. The Harden and Russ that kicked it in those same Thunder Blue unis back in 2012 were never supposed to evolve to this.
Flying to the cup two-hand rip rocker.
For them, this level was off limits.
James Harden is good.
To be the league's reigning back-to-back MVPs, let alone to become two of the best and most unique players the game has ever seen? Never. They were never supposed to turn up like this.
Elevates it, throws down, step back three. Harden connects, primal scream, another triple-double. Harden pulls back. Good!
But they did. Both came from under that KD shadow. One said, why not? The other told you, I'm gonna be a star.
Next triple-double.
Dreams conquered. Yes, there is a small part of us that wishes they were still together. But we all know that Russell Westbrook and James Harden would have never gotten to this sacred place had things remained the same. That's facts. Still, we can dream. Can't we?
We can. So they've been rivals for 7 seasons now. Both have had nearly identical results year after year. They've both been named to 5 All-NBA teams. Both have 4 top 5 MVP finishes. And Westbrook, of course, won in 2017. Harden in 2018. Jalen, is there a world in which you could envision these guys on the same team succeeding?
Absolutely not, because when they were young players, they both were gravitating to try to figure out if they could be the best player on their team. And both of those guys went on to be MVPs in their own right. And so for James, he's led the league in points 3 times, Russ once. James once in assists, Russ twice in assists. But here's my favorite, usage. Harden has led the league in usage, meaning the time he dominates the ball the last 2 seasons. Russ, who also dominates the ball, Mr. Big Shot, and is averaging another triple-double, has led the league in usage twice. It's not enough basketballs for both of those guys.
Wait, hold on, because I wanted you to be GM guy, right? So you're Sam Presti. You had at one point on your roster Westbrook, Durant, Harden, and Serge Ibaka. Now, obviously, you couldn't control KD's decision.
Yeah.
Are you satisfied that you held on to the right guy?
No. I'm not satisfied. I mean, listen, so basically what you're asking me is this. Am I satisfied that I kept Serge Ibaka over James Harden? No, I'm not. This guy went on to become the MVP of the league and one of the best offensive players maybe to ever lace him up. I would have had to try to work that one out. But hindsight is 20/20.
Sure, yep.
And I do agree with Jalen. They wouldn't have both reached their potential together, but maybe a small sample size together, learning how to play with one another, with all the talent that these guys in Golden State has, maybe gives them an opportunity to win.
Man, listen, have you thought of a singing group that broke up that's been this successful?
The Jackson 5.
The Jackson 5, not at this level. Not at this level.
Well, one guy becomes successful.
Michael Jackson, you got all 3 guys becoming great, becoming all-time players. And the big question is, what if? I would have held on to Harden. I'm more biased.
Would have, all right.
I'm more biased to my wing guys, and I believe you need that dynamic wing to win a championship. But it's been unbelievable, and I appreciate greatness and watching them flourish on their separate teams. Durant being the lead, winning the championships. These guys coming through the way they're coming through with MVPs, putting historic seasons together. I'm just a fan of watching this, and I love what Harden. I'm going to be biased to Harden.
That's fine.
Because he's a perimeter player, and I'm more biased toward perimeter guys that you need to win a championship.
How good is Sam Presti at his job?
Oh, man, he can eye some talent.
Man, and then replace KD with Paul George.
It's
done an amazing
I'm thinking
job.
about bands that broke up and everyone made it. All right,
Like the bands that broke up. None has been more successful than this trio.
NBA Sunday Show.
But I seen somebody leave the band and go get another championship.
Presented by Mountain Dew Ice. LeBron, Lakers, Joel Embiid. Oh, and Tobias Harris.
Ray Allen.
Coverage begins NBA Countdown at 3. And also on the app.
I would have liked to see India.
Once again, celebrating.
There you go. That's
Chinese.
Oh, here's the answer.
NWA.
Wu-Tang Clan is the answer.
I would have liked to
No,
see
there are
them
more
sit
answers
together.
than that. Here we go. Our cool display. That's it.
That means they all got to break up and go platinum.
The pig. I'm really glad these important words are getting heard, you guys. Speaking of celebrating Rockets, Kenneth Fareed. Yeah, little resurgence there. We're going to get a little specific about that next.
Method Man, Ray.
There's like
ODB.
Make your step jokes now.
Well, we need a 1, 2, 3 step song.
1, 2, 3, 4 step.
That double step back he's doing out there.
All right, so the Rockets, the big three is the thing, right? They have Harden, Chris Paul, and they had Capella. He got hurt. Steps in Fareed. It still seems to be working. Should we have seen this coming?
Well, first of all, I can't believe you think that I wouldn't say something on TV that I didn't.
Oh, are we going to do this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, we're going to do this right now? Oh, we're going to, let's do
Hey,
it.
let's talk about Kenneth Fareed. Let's do it. See, y'all see what we're doing.
The Manimal.
The Manimal has done a fantastic job, and I'm really proud of him for reinventing himself. Let's go to the tape and talk and show you guys what he's doing very well. Now, this is a pick and roll and finish. Clint Capella out. They don't have a guy that can do this. Here's the important thing about a screen, young fellas out there. Make the defender go over the top, which means your guy has to step up, which is going to give you a run to the basket. Nice finish in traffic. Now, let's talk about the dunker spot. Ladies and gentlemen, watch Kenneth Fareed right here. He's going to go get himself in a position where he needs to be, where he can be effective. The dunker spot right there on the sides of the basket. Now, the defense has to step up because that is James Harden. Make yourself available. Catch and finish. Now, here's an area that they've been needing. They got off to a rough start. They had some guys hurt. You look at him guarding one of the MVP candidates.
Oh, dear.
The emotion that he plays with, the heart, the joy, the passion, that's what they've been needing. That's what they've been missing. And he cleans up the offensive glass. How many players do y'all see do this? Now, he's at the free throw line. Goes and gets his own rebound and another bucket.
Against 3 players.
Look at Kyle Lowry saying, man, come on, are y'all serious? Now, that's a demoralizing play. And lastly, he's had a presence on the defensive end with Clint Capella being out. You watch him right here, continuous effort, goes, get that out of here.
Oops.
Young Moutier. This guy has reinvented himself, and since playing in his first game
Look at that.
with the Rockets,
Come on.
52 dunks.
He run fast, jump hard. What do he do different?
And that's what he needs to do. Ask yourself that. Why was he playing in Brooklyn then, Coach Pierce?
Reinventing means you added something to your game. He's running hard,
reinventing means, have you seen him in 2 years?
Oh, well, come back then. He's making a comeback.
Have you seen him in 2 years, sir? That's what I think.
Y'all should fight about it.
That's what I
Commercial break. Sports Center tonight after college.
Break down, Mr. Big
With
Shot.
John Anderson and
Yes,
Kenny
sir.
Mayne. They're going to recap this game and see what James Harden's streak is. Jay Billis, some takeaways from Duke and Virginia, and some post-fight reactions from UFC out in Australia. Sports Center midnight on ESPN and the app. Now, throughout February, the NBA is celebrating Black History Month by honoring those who paved the way. Sweet shirt, Westbrook. You can share how you are improving your community using hashtag NBA Voices, like Kyle Lowry of the Toronto courtside for Thunder Rockets. James Harden's streak of 30-point games is at 28. Jalen, can you imagine him not scoring 30?
I can't imagine him not scoring 30, Paul. It is insane. He's leaving defenses shook the way he's able to shoot the 3. That 1-2 Sierra step back, finish at the hoop, get to the free throw line. I just want to see if Chris Paul can really get healthy and play like his old self. That'll make the playoffs really enthusiastic.
All right, I can't believe, Chauncey, I'm going to ask you this. So Paul George been at his best both on the offense and the defensive side. Which one impresses you more? Come on, surprise us, Chauncey.
Answer B. First of all, we got the best DJ in the game. This music is crazy. However, the thing that impresses me most about Paul George is obviously his passion on the defensive end. He wants to stop you, not just hold you to your average, but lock you down. And we don't have enough guys in the league like that anymore.
Paul, what are we going to do about Russell Westbrook shooting?
You know what? It's concerning because when the playoffs come first round, as you get deeper in the playoffs, the defense tightens up. And those shooting percentages go down. That's the one thing that's going to concern me when the playoffs come. Thankfully, he has Paul George, who's having a career year. But that's the one concern from stopping them taking the next step, getting to the finals.
And what about the Chris Paul, James Harden situation? Offensively, what do you need from him?
You're going to need him to be that secondary guy just to make plays. Chris, to me, I think he's an underrated three-point shooter. He lives in the mid-range pretty much his entire career, but he can knock that shot down. So be able to spot up, knock down threes, and then when they double, if anybody ever doubles him, James, go make a play, Chris Paul.
And he provide experience, defensive toughness, and a guy that's a seasoned veteran that has been in the playoffs. I just want to see if he can stay healthy. I want to see a healthy Chris Paul.
I like when we call people seasoned. Yes. I just think that's much more polite. Tip-off between the Thunder and Rockets coming up next. See y'all at the half. We'll send it out Mike Breen, Jeff Van Gundy, Mark Jackson, and Lisa Salters. Welcome inside Studio H here in Los Angeles. On the end, our friend Chauncey Billups. That's right. Jalen Rose to my left here. And Paul Pierce. The truth. My name is Michelle Beadle, and we were not traded at the deadline. We are happy to still be here. Some of us we tried to get rid of. Anywho, we have an excellent Western Conference Saturday night tilt for you. We really do. I know I say that every time, but when superstar point guard Chris Paul was injured, Houston's other guard, James Harden, went historic, keeping Houston in the middle of the playoff picture with a scoring binge. He's riding the third longest streak of 30-point games in NBA history. And the only guy with longer streaks, Wilt Chamberlain. Remember that name, will ya? Because in OKC, the most prolific triple-double threat in modern NBA history, Westbrook has had a triple-double in 8 straight games. The all-time NBA record is 9 straight games by Wilt Chamberlain. So the Warriors are the 2-time defending champs, and they obviously have a front line full of talent, more than ever, actually, this year. And the Rockets almost had them last year. Thunder didn't come close. I want to ask you, Jalen, is it Houston? Yeah, I'm going to start with you. Is it Houston or is it OKC that you view as the bigger threat to Golden State?
Right now, I'm going to say OKC just because of their defensive prowess. And they have so many guys that have interchangeable parts that can do a lot of switching. And young players that can make open threes. Grant is an improved shooter. Ferguson is knocking down shots. Adams can be an anchor down low. I like what they've done to build their roster. Paul George has emerged as an MVP candidate, and Russ has a chance to average a triple-double for the 3rd straight year. And you know he's going to be a wild card going against the Warriors and going against his former teammate Kevin Durant.
I agree, and I agree with your assessment. For the very reason that you picked the Thunder, that's the reason why I pick them.
Yep.
They have an identity on the defensive end of the floor, and if you look at the way the Rockets challenged the Warriors last year, it was really with their defense. Physicality, grit. They really changed the face of the series with that kind of mentality. Well, that's how the Thunder play every single night.
I wanted to say OKC, but I think really it is Houston because the way they've been playing without Clint Capella, without Chris Paul, and with James Harden playing at a historic level, I think once they're healthy, they're going to still be the biggest threat. If James Harden can keep this up, they can get something from CP. You know, their role guys are starting to blend in very well. Eric Gordon, of course, Gerald Green, P.J. Tucker. I think they're primed and ready this year to really make another run at the Golden State Warriors, but only if they're healthy.
So I find this interesting because you are the one, and correct me if I'm wrong, you always say that a championship team needs a great two-way wing, great point guard, which OKC has.
Yeah, OKC has that. I think Houston has that also. So, and they have great role players, I believe. Clint Capella, he could have made the All-Star team this year if healthy. He was borderline the numbers he was putting up. Not saying that he would have, but any other given year, he probably could have made the All-Star team. And I thought he was playing at a high level before he got injured.
See, the thing for me is James Harden, where's his conditioning going to be when the playoffs come? You talked about him carrying the load so very much throughout the regular season. And he's had some bizarre endings to a few of his seasons.
Talk about it, Jalen.
At the Warriors, 13 turnovers. I don't know if it was a little B curse or not. Against San Antonio, where he just literally was disengaged. And lastly, can Chris Paul stay healthy? When the Clippers needed him and Houston needed him, unfortunately.
The thing is, too, what has Oki done, Westbrook and George done to convince you that they're going to be better than what James Harden's done in the playoffs?
I think because because Paul George has now taken that leap and Russ passed the mantle to him and allowed him to flourish.
When you hang your hat on the defensive end, you always have a chance, Paul. You know that. You played on some great teams, won a championship because, you know, y'all had great offense, but the defense is what held y'all down. So that's why OKC, I think, is dangerous. But over a 2-week period, 7-game series, you can game plan for so many different things. And I just feel like OKC right now, until Houston shows me that their defense has gotten a tremendous amount better.
Tremendous amount, okay. All right, well, we touched on Paul George at the bottom of the hour. He and his top-ranked points per touch. Nerd stat. Face the Rockets. Sounds like he's having a pretty good season, but we want to hear from him in our Straight Talk Soundbites.
Definitely the best I played. The best I felt, I would take the 22-year-old PG. The way my body and you know, movement, quickness, everything, I'll take that PG. But as far as up here, this is the best I felt mentally, just seeing everything develop. Even some games when I'm not in rhythm, I always can like tone it back and find a way to get myself back in rhythm, where I struggled with that early in my career.
And once teammates, James Harden and Russell Westbrook are now superstars for rival squads. Coming up, could they have been even better if they had remained together? Next.